So the low forecast is below the freezing point pretty much consistently now. So it is time to winterize the van, and I'll go through step by step what we're going to do here. But let's start by looking at the things that we need to concern ourselves with. There's the pump and the tank, the outdoor shower, the sink supply, the drinking water supply, and the sink drain. This is the area under the sink. So we've got the supply lines going to the main tap. We've got this loop of hose here. We've got the drain with the trap, and we've got the Acuva water filtration system. This is the area under the fridge. We have these water lines here that need to be addressed. We have some low point drains here. We'll see how those are going to work. There's a water-to-water heat exchanger here, and there's a problem with the bottom half of that with this elbow trapping some water. So we're going to have to use some inline antifreeze to take care of that. These lines go up to the interior shower, so we have to deal with that. We also have to address the toilet. It has its own onboard water tank, and we want to make sure, and an interior pump, and we want to make sure that those have antifreeze in them as well. And that's the interior shower valve, so we got to make sure there's no water up in there. So the first thing I've done was run the pump until it was dry. So that's the last little bit of water coming out of the pump. I'll let that run for a second. The van's actually parked on a bit of an angle, so those low point drains may or may not work. I've put this little bucket underneath just to catch any water that may come out. We'll open the low point drains, and then we'll open all the taps and see if any of the water drains out. This is the two low point drains, so I'll just open them and see what happens here. I hear water draining. That's a good sign. Opening these will just let some air into the system, and we'll see if that helps with the draining. This is the indoor shower, so we'll just open it and see if anything, make sure there's no, we'll drain this line as well, but oh, that might be. Because the van's on an angle, this outdoor shower is actually probably quite low, so we'll see if any water comes out of that. I'll just open the tap here. Oh, a little bit's draining out of there. This is the main shutoff for the water tank and the pre-filter, sediment filter, and then the water line goes into the pump over here. So what I'm going to do is shut this main shutoff off. I'm going to disconnect the water inlet from the tank to the pump, and I'm going to take this filter apart and make sure there's no water stuck in there. I've just put this container under here to catch any water that might come out of the tank or in this. So we'll just shut this off. We'll just unscrew this area down here. That's tighter than you thought. Oh, there we go. So that's the little sediment filter. This looks like it's gonna unscrew at the wrong spot, so I may have to get a pair of pliers. So what I'm thinking I'll be able to do now is take this jug of antifreeze and put the pickup tube inside it. If not, I'll have to put it into a container, pour it into a container if I can't make it over top of this lip here. But before I do that, I want to disconnect the drinking water system, the Akuva, because I don't really want to run antifreeze through the Akuva system. Everything's a little bit tight under here, so I don't have a great angle, but we'll see what we can do. The Akuva is fed by cold water from the tank, and there's a shut off back in here, so I'm going to shut that off first. Then water is probably still sitting in this filter, and then it goes up into the UV part and then down through here. So I'm going to disconnect all of these lines here and stand this up to self-drain. So I think I should be able to just push these up or pull them down to disconnect that pipe from there. I might have to. Okay, maybe not. Okay, so the secret was to push up slightly on the pipe while pushing up on the flange, and then it pulls right out. I can just pull this out of here. And see if I can get any water out of that. Okay, so there I've got the filter right out, and a little bit of water will drip out of that. We'll do the same thing up here. I may just end up with some water on the ground here. I may have to take this off of here. Let's take this bracket off here. Put it back, just so we don't lose it. And I'll just open the valve and see if I can catch any water out of here. A little bit of water came out of the valve when I opened it, not very much. So the last place that I'm a little concerned about is the UV filter portion itself. Water goes up here past the UV filtered light and then goes back down here, or the sanitizing light. I think by having the inlet and outlet at the bottom here, it shouldn't have too much water in it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tube off of the water filter, and I'm just going to blow some air through there and see if any water comes out. I can do that with you watching. And nothing came out, so that's good. Now that we've disconnected the Akuva sanitizing system from the water supply, I think we can go back to the back of the van and use the RV antifreeze to fill the rest of the system. Before I start filling the system, I'm going to make sure all the taps are shut off, and that includes these low point drains as well. So shut those both off. And when we start pumping the antifreeze through the system, I'll open one tap at a time until antifreeze comes out, and then we'll move on to the next tap to make sure that all the lines are filled. As it turns out, this fitting won't fit inside the bottle, so I'm going to change this whole hose out to a flexible stainless steel one. I'll just be a second. I have this stainless steel 1/2 inch, this one's actually 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch supply line. It's got a rubber gasket in it, so I'll just pull this hose off. replace it with a stainless steel one, and the stainless steel one will fit inside the tank there. So now, if I turn on the pump, it should draw right out of the tank. Actually, we'll do that to see. I think everything's shut off right now, so it should just pressurize the lines and then shut off. There we go. So wherever there was air that was able to compress, we've now got it filled up with antifreeze. So now I'll go from one tap to the next, alternating the hot and the cold, and make sure that antifreeze comes out of each of the lines. This is the outdoor shower. It's right behind the tank, so I'll do it first. Of course, the cold only goes from the pump to here, but the hot has to go through the heat exchanger, so it will be filling up all that line as well. So as you can see, the pump is turned on because the blue light's on. This is on to warm water. We'll turn it to warm there. Actually, let's turn it to cold first. Turn it on. And we're just watching for the pink liquid. Oops. So that didn't have to make very long of a trip. I'll turn it to fully hot, and we'll turn it on again. It'll spray out some air. Okay, so now we'll move on to the next tap. Before I do the kitchen sink, I'm going to disconnect this trap and drain the water out of it, and any extra antifreeze that comes out of the kitchen sink will just fill this trap and winterize it. So I'll do that right now. Spilled a bit of water. Actually, I should have undone this one instead. I might need a tool for that. So once again, we'll turn on the water pump, and we'll start with the cold, which I believe is pointing back. And then we'll move it to the hot. And I think we're just about out of antifreeze in that tank right now. We're almost done. We've got the indoor shower and the overflows, the low end, low point drains to do. We've got, we're starting to suck up some air, so I will switch tanks and we'll keep going. So I did purchase 2 tank fulls of antifreeze, and we'll just switch them out. Pour the excess in here. Ooh, leave enough room for the pipe. I can get it back in there without spilling. And we're back to the races. This is the interior shower, so it's one of the last things that we'll want to winterize. I'll run some antifreeze through that, and then I will use the tube there to actually fill the tank on the toilet. It has its self-contained water tank. I've already drained it, ran it dry, but now there's a pump in there. I want to make sure there's some antifreeze, and I'll run it through the pump as well. This is the toilet tank fill tube, and as you can see, it's actually got water in it right now. When you fill this tank, the water level shows up in this tube, but to fill it, the water goes in here and has to fill this tube and then go up into the tank and out. So I think what I can do is just turn this and let it drain into my tank. So I'll just grab my tank and try that. So we're just going to try to flip this tank and see if this fill tube and see if we can empty this water out of here. Oh, look at that. They thought of everything. Cool, I didn't actually know that could turn like that. So now we can just pump some antifreeze in here. We'll fill it until we see some water in the tube, and we'll make sure that the pump can draw the water up, or the antifreeze up, and then we'll call that good. All right, so we'll just see if I can slowly turn this water on. Filling the tube. We'll wait until we start seeing it come up the tank here. There it started. I'll shut it off. And we'll see if I can pump the antifreeze through the toilet tank here. There we go. I probably shouldn't bother just leaving that in there now that we know that it drains so easy. Let's pump that out. So the last thing is the low water system drains. I'll want to catch some of that liquid in this tank, so I'll go put this under the van. Oh, and there will be one more thing. There's two traps leading into the gray water tank, and they have drains at the bottom of those, so I'll take the drains out of those. I'll just open these valves for a second. Let water go through. And we should be good. This is the gray water dump. There was a little bit of water in it from when I drained the tank at the end there. The other thing up here is one of the two traps that lead into the gray water tank. So I'll take this cap off, and there's another one at the other end. So that's just gonna and I'll leave these caps off, and I'll leave this this valve open as well. That's the second. This one's directly under the shower. We didn't actually use the shower, but I did keep this filled with water so that we wouldn't get smells from the gray water tank into the van. So there should be a little bit of water in this one as well. So that should be it. If I missed anything, make sure you tell me. I used about a tank and a half of RV antifreeze to do that job. So I will clean this up, and we'll see if there's anything else that needs to be put away for the winter. So one last thing, if you're doing this winterizing, it's probably time to disconnect your outside hose bibs as well. So I might probably need a tool to do that. I will grab a tool and do that.